Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and welcome to a special edition of Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I'm here today to talk to you about Crazy Rich Asians. So this movie came out in 2018. However, I just finally watched it just last night. And the reason for that is because I'm not the biggest fan of like romance comedy movies. They're just not my thing. I just don't like romance movies in general and stuff. Like if I were to ever watch a romance movie back in say like somewhere in the 90s, it's only because I had no idea that it was a romance movie and mostly just that of a comedy. And when it came to the early 2000s, well, once again, I just watched it for the comedy reasons, having no idea it was about romance, like American Pie and everything. And so I just assumed that it was just some raunchy, like, comedy movie and stuff. But anyway, so this is what took me so long to watch this. And I figured, well, you know what? If I got HBO Max and I'm about to cancel it because I've watched everything I wanted to watch on HBO Max, and I'm done watching everything I wanted to watch on HBO Max. All the new stuff isn't interesting to me, and I'm just wasting money having like this service I've used to watch like old stuff. So I might as well watch some of these movies that I've been wanting to watch for a while before I end it. And so Crazy Rich Asians were one of those movies. I gotta say, it was a very delightful movie and everything. I enjoyed the comedy, the romance, the romance, the romance. Can't get my words out. Aspect of it, it was fine and everything. I've seen that done before. Like this movie and the romance themes and everything with like, the fiance, the mother and stuff. It reminded me a lot of Sweet Home Alabama. And so like one thing I was not expecting to like experience in this movie was like all of the racial like bullying and stuff that happened in this movie. I was very shocked and surprised because the thing is, when it comes to this movie, I had no idea what's it about. I had no idea it's about like, a romance movie. I figured it was about Asian people being rich because it does in the title. But other than that, I didn't know what's going to happen beat by beat. And so I was really taken surprise. And I'm so glad I went into this movie fresh because I was like so curious and stuff. Problem with the internet today is that it spoils everything. I decided not to watch no reviews for this. I decided not to like watch no trailers and stuff. I knew about some of the controversial casting only because of Brenda Song and Jamie Chung and everything. And I knew Constant Wu was in this, which I'm a huge Constant Wu fan and everything. But like other than that, I didn't know nothing else like about this movie. So I was really taken back and surprised by all like, the prejudice, the racism, the bullying and stuff, which, yes, racism doesn't always come from outside races. Sometimes it comes from within your own and everything. And the acceptance of like, are you like, because, this movie deals with Chinese people. And like, this movie deals with, are you Chinese enough and everything? And many of the people feel like the Rachel character, Rachel Chu, is not Asian enough for like them. And that was just like very fascinating to watch and everything. And I heard things like that before in Asian cultures and stuff. And and as a black man, I've experienced that with like, black people. And then, I've read about like Latino peoples, like, like take Jennifer Lopez, for example. Why can't I get my words out today? Example. Some people say that Jennifer Lopez isn't Latino enough because she doesn't sing Spanish in her songs. And when she first tried to put out an album, she wanted it to be all Spanish, but they told her no, it's going to be English and stuff. Now, I'm not even going to get into the Jennifer Lopez controversy with her. I can't talk today. Controversy with like her singing and how she used ghost singers and how some of the most iconic lyrics in her songs didn't even come from her. It came from like black women and stuff. But she pretended to lip sync, pretend like it was her. I just found this out like a week ago. This apparently blew up 2 weeks ago, but people have been saying it for years. I had no idea she is a fraud and everything. Like, I had no earthly idea. And you can find all kind of videos about her on YouTube about how she used ghost singers, how like other people sing some of the lyrics to her songs, how she's not that great of a live singer and everything. This is why her voice always sounds different in every song. Now I know why. Anyway, that's off topic. And so, there are people within races that just don't accept other people because they feel like they're not enough of that race. And that's always sad to hear because people always want to be like, where do I fit in? Apparently, I can't fit in with my own race because they don't like me. And people think I'm too much of this, like of another race. And then sometimes they will accept me and sometimes they will not. So it's always fun to see a project about something like this, to educate yourself and to learn and everything, things that really, like, I love projects that really challenge, like, a person and stuff. Don't worry, I'll get into the controversy of the casting a little bit later, because I didn't know it was such a huge scope and everything. I'm very shocked and surprised. But first, let me just say, wow, like what an accomplishment for like Asian stars and people and stuff. This movie is like huge, It has an all Asian cast of different Asian races, which are called. Why can't I talk today? What? It's like I want to say something, but then my mind says something completely different. This is what caused a lot of the controversy and everything, because this is a movie that's based on a book. Because there are a series of novels. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I can't get my words out for nothing. And so, like, based on the books of Kevin Kwan and everything, like Crazy Rich Asians, and then there are a couple of other books he's written, which are now, yes, thankfully gonna get a sequel and everything. And so, like, the characters are supposed to be Chinese, but like most of the casting is biracial people. Like some of the casting are Chinese, some are Filipino, one's Japanese, and the other one is IBAN. And I've never even heard of that before. And also Malaysian and stuff. But like I said before, I'll get into all that controversy a little bit later. But let me just say that for all the controversial nature of this movie, I am glad to see a movie that promotes like Asian culture and Asian people and Asian stars can actually get a job. Because, last year I made like 4 videos about like Asian representation in like America. They're about like an hour long. It wasn't supposed to be 4 hours long, but I just kept talking and talking and talking. And so, yeah, this is a huge accomplishment for like an American film to have a predominantly Asian cast. It's so Asian, in fact, that there's only like 4 white people in the beginning of the movie for about a minute long. That's the only other races you see that aren't that of Asian descent. And so there are no like Hispanics, there are no black. Well, the Filipino dude can kind of be considered Hispanic, especially with his last name. But anyway, there are like no like Hispanics, Italians, no blacks, no indigenous people. Well, sorry about that. My camera died. It took a while for the battery to recharge back up. Let's see, where did I leave off? I kind of forgot. Anyway, But yeah, this was like a big thing for like, the Asian community and everything because they got to be represented in a huge way. And not only that, but it's an American movie. And so like, I've said before when it comes to like Asian people and like television shows and movies and American television shows and movies, you rarely see them in anything. And so, because back in the day, they were whitewashed, and then, in today's time, they're just like, they pop in, and sometimes they pop out, and you just never see them. And if you do see them, they're mostly like a stereotype. They're playing like the quirky, crazy character, or they're playing like, a really, really smart character, or they're like, playing like a martial artist and everything. So this was nice to see them in a different light. And, it was a big thing for a lot of Asian Americans to see like, Asian representation. And, that wasn't always stereotypical. However, there are some stereotypes from like East Asia and like, Southeast Asian like communities and stuff. They saw like a lot of like stereotypical tropes in this movie that I still can't talk, that they did not like. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I can't talk for some reason. And so like, so I think it's a huge accomplishment for like, the Asian community. Sadly, however, there's a lot of controversy with this movie. However, some of the good stuff about this movie is, like I said before, oh wait, I think I remember what I was saying before. Like, yeah, this movie has like an entire like Asian cast except for like 4 white dudes in the beginning of like the movie, and they're only there for like a minute. This is very rare to see in any portrayal of a movie, especially that of an American movie, because you will always see other races within that movie. Unless, of course, it's like a predominantly black movie, then mostly you'll just see like a bunch of black people. I don't know if there are any predominantly Hispanic movies or nothing like that, but like, yeah. And so, like, this movie, well, actually, I'll get into the controversy later. I was about to bring something up about how Rachel is going to be a completely different race in this movie. Anyway, this movie made a lot of money. They had a budget of like 30 million, but it made 239 million, and it was like number one at the box office for several weeks and everything. And like, this movie is being hailed because the only time there's ever been like an American movie that had a predominantly Asian cast was the Joy Luck Club, and that was already back in 1993. So yeah, it's high time Asian people get the recognition that they so like rightfully deserve and everything. Especially how I told you how they was treated in like the late 1800s and stuff when they came to like America. Now, as for the cast, I recognize some people in this, and most of the ones I recognize are TV stars. Everybody else, I have no idea who they are, and I've never seen them before. So it's nice to get some like different like stars, into like my memory and everything. So I'm like, when I see them in other projects, I'm like, oh hey, you're from like that movie and stuff like that. And so this one dude whose name I keep seeing popping up, I'm all like, I don't remember seeing you in this movie. And that's only because he was in the post and credit scene and the deleted scene, but he will be in the sequel and everything. Now, like I said before, this was written by Kevin Kwan, and he actually has a cameo here, but I have no idea what he looks like, so I didn't recognize him at that time of watching, like, this movie and stuff. Now, the 2 sequels that are being made is China Rich Girlfriend and also Rich People Problems. And so the one dude that got like, omitted from like the movie, he will be in the sequels and stuff. And I'm really curious to see what the sequel's about. I don't like romance movies, but I'm kind of curious now because I do like this movie and stuff. So let's get into some of the controversial nature, shall we? Oh boy. So this movie was directed by John M. Chu. And so like the books were written back in 2013. And back then they wanted to make a movie out of this, right? Well, when Hollywood executive producers and producers started getting their hands on the material, they wanted to whitewash the movie and make Rachel white. And yeah, she's not supposed to be white. She's Chinese and everything. So the writer of the books, he stepped in and, so he can get some of like, I don't know exactly what he did apparently, but like apparently he was able to get like creative role decisions and development and stuff like that for like $1 or something like that, and like prevent like the whitewashing of the movie, which I don't know why in American TV shows and movies they always, well, I do know why they do it. I just wish they wouldn't do it, because if this is supposed to be an Asian like project, then it needs to be an Asian cast and everything. And so that's just some of the controversy right there, the fact that they wanted to add like other races to this movie. But this, like I said before, this movie did good in America. It did not fare so well in China and South Korea. It opened really soft over there, and because there was a lot of criticism. But then also there was criticism in Singapore. Now this movie takes place in Singapore. That's the setting of the movie. You see it in the movie. And a lot of people from Singapore was really, really pissed off in this movie because like one, it's supposed to have a Chinese cast. However, many of the stars are not Chinese. Some are. And not only that, but a lot of them are multiracial and stuff, biracial. And I've said this before, when you have like a lot of like, like one thing I've learned when doing like the Power Rangers, like, Asian reviews and stuff like that from the Asian cast members, a lot of them are biracial and stuff. Like they're always mixed with something. When they're like born over here or immigrate over here, the first generations and stuff are always normally biracial and stuff. That's just something that happens when you get like American and Canadian casting and stuff. And also over in Britain. So a lot of people was upset that, this movie that's supposed to depict Chinese people are actually fat, not Chinese. And they keep talking about how they are Chinese and stuff. Like, I didn't know that by watching this movie. I just, like I said, I can't tell Asian races apart. But like, I knew this one dude was Filipino. Santos dude, because he was in Superstore and he said, he's Filipino and stuff like that. So I knew he was Filipino and everything, but the others, I had no idea. Now, another problem that arises in this movie is that, look, I don't know nothing about Singapore. I think a couple of famous Chinese movie stars move on over there, I believe. It's there or someplace else. I think there's probably like no tax or something like that. Well, I don't know nothing about Singapore whatsoever. So when watching this movie, I'm like, okay, understanding, learn a little bit here and there, right? You know what I'm saying? So I assume that in Singapore, there's nothing but Asian people and more importantly, nothing but Chinese people and stuff. Apparently, that's not even true. What pissed the people of Singapore off is that they left out two of the main races. Like there are three main races there. There's Chinese, there's Malay, and then there's Indian people. And there wasn't a single Malay or Indian person in this movie. And so they was upset because they're all like, yo, why are they being omitted from this movie? Like, they're part of like this country and this culture and stuff like that. And I totally understand why they're pissed. It's like Ireland and everything. every time I watch like an older, like not well, an older show, but like a movie or show depicted in the olden times, I always see tons of white Irish people. But there are fat Asian and black Irish people and stuff, and I never see that. I even watched a modern day Irish show set, well, it was kind of set in 1995, but that's a little modern, I guess you could say. And I didn't see no Asians and I didn't see no blacks until like the last season and stuff. And it's just kind of like, I hate when they leave out aspects of like a country, because then you always assume what you see on TV and movies is exactly how it's supposed to be. Another thing came in like, the language and everything. Apparently, all the people in Singapore that you see in this movie speak with a British accent. But that's actually not the normal there. Yes, they do have British English speaking people there. They have, because in the movie they had American accents and British accents, but people was upset because they were like, yo, what about the Singaporean like English accents and everything? Y'all left that completely out. And that is kind of weird. They will leave that out of the movie because, like I said before, I'm an outsider trying to look in, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can, but I'm not learning everything like I should be learning, you know what I'm saying? Other criticisms came from that, of, like I said before, Eastern, like Asia, and Southeast Asia. There were stereotypes like the war bride, the, like, China doll, Lotus Blossom, and Tiger Mom. Now, Tiger Mom is basically one of those overbearing, like, parents who, like, try to control their kids' life or, like, academics and stuff like that. And the mom in this movie is very much like that, controlling her son, who he dates, and, like, even dressing him and everything. Other stereotypes is the unattractive Asian man, which I didn't even know that was like a stereotype and everything, but apparently they use that trope again in the movie and stuff. The unattractive Asian man is supposed to be like overweight and stuff like that, and there are like two that I know of in the movie that are overweight and stuff. But that's not all the controversy. Then it comes to that of casting. Like I said before, there are other races in this movie other than that of Chinese, and that pissed a lot of people off and everything. And some of the stars clapped back, and other ones just kept their mouth shut. You have Michelle Yeoh, who's like Malaysian. You have the Santos dude. Is it Nico Santos? He's like Nico Santos. He's like Filipino and everything. But then the biggest controversy came with like two of their stars. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'll try to do the best I can. Sonyo Mizuno. She is Argentina and Japanese, and people got on to her, but like, yo, you ain't Chinese, and so she clapped back and everything. She basically said, like, she was pissed. She was pissed off. She basically said, like, nobody complains when white people play other European, like, white folks. That is completely different, in my opinion, because it's kind of like, okay, look. Yeah, white American stars, they play like British white American stars, Irish, Scottish, like Russian, stuff like that, but in Canadian, but they're still white, you know what I'm saying? Her, on the other hand, she's Japanese and Argentina, and she's playing a Chinese character. That's not the same thing in the slightest, you know what I'm saying? Because, that's not the same race. Then came the lead star. The actor who plays Nick, Henry Golding, people was furious over his casting because he is of English descent and IBAN and stuff. And so, like, he also clapped back too and said that those criticism hurt his feelings, but then he said it's open for conversation. And so basically the casting people was looking for like, that Prince Charming, hunky type guy, you know what I'm saying? The one that girls would just like fall over and stuff like that. And so that's what they was looking for when it came to that of him. And so like but he's not Chinese. And so that pissed a lot of folks off. And now when it comes to IBAN, from what I've read, they appear to be some type of like Indonesian type people. And the ones that are of like, I can't say this, Dayak or something like that. Dayak. Their ancestors actually came from China and stuff like that. But you know, as millions of years has passed and everything, or thousands of years, they have now immigrated with like and mixed with other races and become their own thing. So I understand why people are upset because their lead star is supposed to be Chinese and technically he really isn't. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you were to go back all the way to the ancestors, then pretty much like every white person will have a little bit of African in them, like sub-Saharan, Native American or indigenous and stuff like that. So people don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So I get why people are upset, like, you know, about like the casting of him and everything. But controversy doesn't just end right there. Oh no. You have Korean actress Jamie Chung, who she auditioned for, but basically was told she wasn't like, you know, ethnically Chinese enough for the movie. And she got pissed because she's all like, well, hold up now. Yeah, I might be Korean and everything, and I'm not Chinese, but your lead star, Henry, is not Chinese either. So she got really pissed and basically she later on apologized to like the casting director and also Henry and stuff, and was all like, you know, she just hopes the movie does well because she's kind of like, well, if you're gonna cast a non-Chinese person in this role, why can't you do it with me? That's basically how she felt and stuff, you know. Then Brenda Song, who is Thai and Hmong, she wasn't even allowed to audition for like, you know, the movie because they said like oh, something about I forget what it was with her, but it was kind of a similar thing with Jamie and everything. I think they said she doesn't act Asian enough or something like that. And she got pissed because basically a lot of Asian Americans all like, what do you expect when every character you play is like, you know, a stereotypical white girl and everything. And so her and the director, they had this long discussion about it and this and that because she felt upset that, you know, she couldn't be included and that she wasn't considered Asian enough and everything. But then the biggest controversy, just like with the male lead with Henry, comes in this dude, the actor from the MCU who played that of Shang-Chi. Now, I can't even pronounce this dude. Some people pronounce it Simon Liu, but I think it's Simu Liu or something like that. He is actually Chinese and everything, and he's a good-looking dude. But they told him he didn't have the it factor to play Henry or some other character. No, not play Henry, but to play like the lead in the role or like another character and stuff. And this man was really confused because he's all like, yo, it's a Chinese movie. I'm Chinese. I'm a good looking dude. Like, what you mean I don't have that it factor? You know what I'm saying? So that was the weirdest controversial casting in terms of not getting the role because he auditioned 4 times and got rejected and stuff. And it was just like shocking because, you know, when you look at him and Henry, you know, they do look different, but they have certain similar features and they're both like leading like type men and stuff. But you know what? I think somebody said, I can't remember who it was, they said that he has certain features that Henry does not. See, the dude from the MCU has more Asian looking features and like the sculpture of his face, whereas Henry does not. And I think that's what they was going for this movie, to bring in a different type of audience and everything, if you know what I'm talking about. Now, how do I feel about all that? Well, I've said this before last year, when I did those 4 videos. In American Hollywood and everything, you're not going to see that many Asian people in projects like in the 80s and 90s and this and that. And set because back in the olden days, like the 60s and 70s, they will whitewash people, have white people do yellow face and stuff like that, and they would be stereotypes. So whenever they would have an actual Asian person, it was very rare to see, and they normally played a stereotype. And not only that, but they would cast any type of Asian person for a specific Asian race type role. Sadly, that's just how Hollywood operates, and it's Hollywood's fault for all this controversy and stuff. And I blame them 100% because it's their fault for how they casted Asian people in the past. And also, it's because they tell people of color that look a certain way that because you look a certain way, you have an ethnic look. You can technically play any type of ethnic role that's similar to the look that you look like. I know this for a fact because an Italian actress said so. She auditioned for this one show that she got many years ago back in the day. And she's Italian and she looks Hispanic when you look at her. So the casting people literally told, oh, since you have an ethnic look, you can play other ethnic characters and stuff. So many years later, she played a Mexican mom and she's not Mexican and stuff. This is all Hollywood's fault. I said it before with Fear the Walking Dead season 2. In season 2, they went on over to Mexico. And yes, they really did go over to Mexico to film. However, all of the main Mexican cast members were not Mexican. They were other races. They were Italian, they were Puerto Rican, they was Colombian. One was even Maori, and that's all the way over in New Zealand and stuff. And so there wasn't a single Mexican actor playing a main character role. Oh, and one was like Pakistani and everything. And the only Mexican stars were the background characters and stuff, and that was it. So this is Hollywood's fault for making people believe this, making the stars believe this. They can take on any role just based on what color their tone is and stuff. And I feel bad for the stars because it's kind of like they just want to act and they want to get whatever role they can, but they can't because they're never gonna make a TV or movie about a Hmong family or about a Malaysian family, not even a Filipino family. It's mostly just Chinese and Japanese, but mostly Chinese when you see television shows and movies depicting them and stuff. So I feel bad for the stars because they just want to act, but at that same time, they're not that race, you know what I'm saying? And people want to be represented and represented correctly and everything. And like I said before, this is all Hollywood's fault. In a 2021 interview, the director of the movie, he says that he now regrets casting Chinese people in these roles, and he totally gets now the criticism that was thrown his way and stuff. Now, Constant Wu, she's in this movie. And I love myself some Constant Wu. She auditioned for the movie, but she had to turn it down because she was on Fresh on the Boat. And so she told the director, look, man, I have a personal connection to that of Rachel. We're both first generation Asian Americans and everything. And I don't know what else the connection is, but it's probably because people probably don't consider her Asian enough, probably, because she does not sound Asian when she talks. She has a very American accent. And it was only on Fresh on the Boat she faked like an Asian accent and everything. And so she probably has also that connection and stuff like that. So they postponed the movie for 4 months until the show wrapped up and she was able to film. And of course, there was that whole controversy of when her show got renewed and she got pissed on Twitter and cussed. And they're all like, oh, what happened and everything. So basically, she said that because of her television show, she's losing out on movie roles. So, of course, what happened? That ended up now being the last season of her show. It got canceled and she was able to do movies, but then some tragic happened because some famous Asian star, she will not name names, basically contacted her in person and told her, you're a disgrace. How dare you and everything? Don't you understand how big this television role is for our people and stuff? And how dare you just throw it away just to make movies and this and that? So she contemplated trying to take her own life and almost succeeded until somebody found her and took her to the hospital. I am so glad somebody found her because I really enjoy this woman's acting. She's gorgeous, she's funny, she's talented, and people really need to stop worrying about what other people think and trying to take their own lives and everything. Her life is very much important and stuff. And I've already said this before. I forget what the name of this show is. It's on Amazon Prime. It's some type of show. Okay, I talked about this in my video. Just try to find one of my million videos. It's an anthology series, and she's the lead where she monologues the entire show, and she does a really good job. Now, what exactly is this movie about and everything, other than just the title of them being rich and being Asian and possibly being crazy? I felt like the craziness didn't go as far as I wanted it to, but hey, that's all right. So, this movie is basically, well, first it starts off with Michelle Yeoh's character in the past, and she's with her like little kids and stuff, and she's trying to get her hotel reservation settled as it's pouring down, raining outside. Now, the staffers are all white. These are the only white people in the movie for like a minute. And they don't want her in the hotel. They're all like, oh, we don't see your reservation. You must be mistaken. Try another hotel, blah, blah. And she's all like, no, my husband put in the reservation, blah, blah. But they would not let her stay there. She's all like, can I at least use your phone and everything? They made her use a payphone outside while it's pouring and raining. She calls her wealthy husband, and he calls this older man who lives in the hotel. The older man comes out. He owns part of the hotel. Actually, he owns the entire thing. He comes on out and he's all like, oh, this is my dear friend and her husband, blah, 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 stuff like that. And guess what? I'm selling the hotel to them and everything. So she becomes the new boss and makes them do manual labor. I assume the rest of the movie is going to revolve around that, but then it doesn't. Now, there's a really important reason why this scene was filmed, because later on, it shows her own prejudice towards her own race and everything because of wealth. So the movie revolves around that of Rachel Chu. And she's a professor and the first American generation like person who lives in America, and she's dating a guy named Nick. Now, unbeknownst to her, Nick is filthy rich and famous because of his family. His entire family is rich. His entire family is famous and everything. And she has no idea because he doesn't live a rich type lifestyle when he's in America. He will stay in a raggedy hotel. He'll bum off her. He'll get like a cab, like this and that. He didn't want her to treat him like differently and stuff. So she's very nonchalant and everything. And like, he wants her to like meet his family because one of his cousins, I believe, is getting married. So they fly out to Singapore, and she's never been before, but she has a friend that lives out in Singapore and everything. And her friend is rich. And her friend had no idea this Nick Young, or she had no idea that Nick is Nick Young and everything. They're really, really, really filthy rich, like, you know, family that lives in like Singapore. Oh, that means the side note. I love seeing people make food in this movie. It's so cool. They do it with no breeze and everything, just with ease and everything. Like, it reminds me of some of those cooking shows that I see on like PBS Create. Like, you know, because I like watching the ones from like other countries and just how they create their food, man. It's like magic and stuff. And they do it just like so quick because they're used to doing it for so many hours, like a day. So it's really cool to see that and everything. And I'm glad they highlighted that. I'm also glad they highlighted actual Asian music from actual Asian like singers and stuff. And so when she goes to her friend's place, it's a really fabulous like place they live in. But then when she goes to like, you know, Nick's place, it's even bigger and even richer. And she's not one of those type of people that just wants to like, you know, marry a rich person just to be so she can like have her life easy. Because like I said, she didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And there is a problem when she gets there. Now, everybody's treating her really nice and everything, right? All except for Nick's mom. Nick's mom is the don't take my son away from me type thing. Now, he hasn't been home in years and hasn't even seen his grandmother. We don't even see the father in this movie. We don't even know, like, the main dude who made them rich and famous. We don't even know what he looks like in this movie. And so, like, from right off the start, like, Michelle Yeoh's character, the mother, is just does not like her and stuff. And so she interacts with all the people and she's getting along with them, but until there's a bit of a problem. Some of the women there don't like her, especially Nick's ex. And so they just treat her nasty. They put some kind of like dead animal in her room. They wrote blood on the window, talking about she's a gold digger and stuff like that. And instead of running away, she just feel like, I'm just gonna deal with it and everything and just try to like make the best of it and stuff like that. I'm gonna show them that I'm not afraid of them. Well, more interaction in the movie, and she's interacting with the people and this and that, and it's becoming more and more apparent that Nick's mom just doesn't like her. Turns out Nick's mom, I think, was like a lawyer, but she had to quit to take care of the kids and this and that. So she resents Rachel because of that, because Rachel still gets to have her career and everything, and she wasn't able to. They play Mahjong, which I finally now get to see what that game looks like, and it's really cool. And I love the interaction when they're just playing like all nonchalant, but they're discussing their problems with each other and everything, and how Rachel beats that of Nick's mom. Because what happened was, like, Nick's mom dug up some dirt on Rachel. She lied about her parents and everything. Her dad's not dead, he's very much alive and this and that. And she just feels that Rachel is just a poor gold digger who's trying to take what they got. And so when he proposes to her, she just ends up leaving. Now she's finally defeated and she wants to leave. Nick, who keeps calling her, she will not pick up his call. So he flies out and Rachel's mom to talk to her. This helps, and she does talk to, like, Nick's mom, where they play like that game and this and that. And Nick's mom realizes, what, maybe I'm wrong about this woman and stuff like that. See, in the beginning of the movie, like I said before, Nick's mom was shown prejudice towards her because they assumed she was poor and, like, also because of the color of her skin. Rachel is basically Nick's mom from like beginning of the movie. She's poor. Well, she's poor, not necessarily rich, but she's poor. But people are judging her because they feel like she is not Chinese enough for them and everything. Because she lives in America, she has American ways, and she knows a little bit here and there about, like, where she comes from, like her country. And so they judge her on like, oh, but you're not pure enough and blah, blah, and stuff like that. Even though, she knows some things like Mahjong and everything that she was taught, and she knows Mandarin and stuff like that. So, Nick's mom is starting to see Rachel, some of Rachel in her and everything, and realizing that she's wrong to judge. So she takes off her engagement ring or wedding ring, and she gives it to Nick to propose to that of Rachel on a plane. And this ring has a huge significance because of, Nick's father and everything, when he gave the ring to his mother. So she says yes and everything like that. And so they're now engaged to get married. So that's basically what the entirety of the movie is. It's just like, here's this fish out of water being thrust into this rich family lifestyle that she had nothing to know about. And they judge her so much that when they found up dirt on her, everybody in the party started making fun of her and everything. But then at the end of the movie, when she accepts the engagement, they start acting nice again. Ah, that's rich people for you. Now there's another part of the movie that's like a little small subplot. The subplot in this movie always felt out of place to me because it just feels tacked on just to be tacked on. But apparently it is from the book. I just wish they could have blended it in better to make it flow better with the rest of the movie, because then you have all this stuff with Rachel and Nick and the mom. But then all of a sudden you have this tiny little subplot with that of Astra and everything. And I think she's the cousin. And because, when you have other stuff going on with the other characters, your main character is there with them. So it's not like it's them by themselves, but when it's with Astra and Michael and everything, it's always them by themselves. Basically, in the book, she suspects he's cheating because of a text message she finds. In the movie, she really does know that for a fact he is cheating and their marriage is dissolving and everything. And they have like major problems. She's a huge aristocrat, loves buying like shiny, fancy stuff and like all these other things. And it's just not gonna work out for them and stuff. Like, I think she even buys him like gifts and stuff, like that watch. Basically, there's another character, her ex-fiance, who was in the post-mid credit part that got deleted. Like I said before, he will be in the sequel and everything. When it comes to some of the stars that are actually recognized in this movie, Constance Wu, duh. Now, Gemma Chan, who plays that of like Astra, I've never seen her in nothing, but I've seen her before. I know Awkwafina, I just don't recognize her hair. Ken Jeong, of course everybody knows this dude from like Community and the Dr. Ken show and stuff. Michelle Yeoh, of course, you know. Ronnie Ching, and let's see, Nico Santos, I remember him. Now then there's Harry Shrum Jr., who's the one who got deleted from this movie. I'm just like, I know this dude, where is he in the movie? But you know, of course he got deleted, but will be in the sequel and everything. Let's see if there's anybody else I know. Oh, then there's, I can't pronounce the name. Tan King who? I recognize her from Kung Fu, the CW show and everything. So yeah, you can watch this on HBO Max. It's a really charming, nice, quaint little romantic comedy movie and stuff. The comedy is hilarious. I wish they could have went more overboard with the humor and everything, because you have like a couple of like comedian legends in here and they know how to ham it up. And of course, Ken, he hams it up. That's just who Cam is, and Awkwafina does. I understand Constance Wu's character is supposed to be more meek and like, you know, timid and like, you know, and like nonchalant. But I really wish she could have went all Jessica on them from Fresh Off the Boat. Happy Asian and Pacific Islander month, everybody. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.